Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer, out on another walk, and this time I'm joined by a special friend of mine, Elizabeth Housden. Hello, Elizabeth.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Elizabeth, we're going to go for a walk. This is special for me because we're in a place where I was born, some 50-something years ago. Let's not go into detail, shall we?
No, indeed not.
Could you tell us where we are?
Yes, this is Liss in Hampshire, and this bit is West Liss.
And this is
it's the original
the
village.
Original Liss,
actually,
the
the original
oldest
village.
Liss.
Yes, it is. Yes.
We're standing by St. Peter's Church, an international Presbyterian church. It says, and a lovely, delightful church. Shall we take a stroll?
Indeed,
we can have that in our background as we go. Where are we? We're strolling towards the main hub of the village, I suppose.
Yes. The Liss itself is it's a railway station and quite a big village that was it started off in the Victorian era, but this bit is the original bit and goes back to, well, I believe the 13th century, but the church, I think, as it is, was originally wood, and it became the way it is now, and they pulled down the wooden bit and built it of stone, and was taken under the wing of the bishops of Winchester. And it had to be rebuilt after the dissolution of the monasteries, Henry VIII and all his vandalism.
Yes, absolutely.
And it is what it is today, as you see.
And then you've got these very charming houses here that go down the lane to it, aren't they? From different ages, with different materials.
Yes.
And I don't know what the geology is in this part of Hampshire, because you've got a lot of brick, so presumably there's some sort of localish clay.
Yes, I would think so. I'm not sure about that.
But I noticed there's some stone buildings as well, so
yes,
presumably sandstone.
Yes, quite a lot of stone. There's here one on the right which has got nice bits on it.
Got a bit of the original timber.
Yes, indeed.
And then that looks like ironstone. What I like about old villages and things, you find these little lanes, don't you?
Yeah.
That just, I'm always tempted to just disappear down the lanes, because where do they go? That's the thing. It's just, and there's a historic lane that we're going to look at in a different video.
That's called the Smugglers Way.
The Smugglers Way.
Well, that's what we call it, the locals, but it's actually called the Shipwrights Way. Locally it's called the Smugglers Lane, and has been called that for centuries. I'm just going to pause to have a look at this rather magnificent house, and again, look at this. This is the old rectory, and it's a beautiful Victorian building. What it must have been like to be in the days when you could live in one of those as the rector of the church and amble up. Where are we going over here?
I'm going to go across the road onto the path, because those days of quiet horses and carts are replaced by the motor car now.
Yeah, very much so. Yes.
So this is the Spread Eagle pub coming up to us. Quite an old pub as well.
Yes, it is old. Yes.
And I read that tree is quite ancient, and in front of it there used to be the village stocks.
Oh yes, naughty people would be brought here, yes. And so, it's quite interesting, that tree, because it's hollow. And
oh, is it? It's
it's one of those ones that's sort of living shell,
Yes, a lot of. I mean, I was in Kingley Vale the other day, and there's a lot of yew trees. They just hollow out as they get older.
Right. Yes.
And they're very gnarled. This does look like a lovely pub.
It is a nice pub. Yes.
Sadly, we haven't got time to go in and have a swift half. But here we are, a little runner going past. Hello. And I imagine as we're now getting towards the spring, you can see the daffodils coming. The trees here will bloom. Is it an oak tree?
I don't think
an
so.
oak.
That might be.
Oh yes, look, there we are. There's an oak leaf.
Oh yes, it is. It's an oak.
Let's go and have a look at the hollowing out of the tree, just very briefly, because it's
round the other side.
Round the other side. Here we go. Oh wow! Look at that, ladies and gentlemen.
fabulous, isn't it?
Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
I'm getting a much bigger affinity with trees.
Well, it's quite a special one, isn't it? Think of how many children for years and years and years have played in there.
Yes, absolutely. Because not only can you go in, you can peer through the other side like that. So where are we heading to next, Liz?
Well, I think a place that interests you personally. Is that not right?
Oh yes, of course. So there was in 1963, I've admitted it, a cottage hospital,
Yep.
if I have got that right, here in Liss, and a pregnant woman,
Yes. Known to you.
known to me, known intimately to me,
Right.
bore a child in this cottage hospital back in 1963. In fact, in the summer, a hot summer apparently it was.
Oh, right.
And yes, I was born there, so I'm very curious to see the place of my birth.
Yes, I'm sure you are. Yes. Well, it was a lovely maternity home. It's called the Grange, and I think they closed it about 20-something years ago now.
So was it a hospital up until all that time?
Oh yes, yes.
Oh right.
And so many local babies were born there.
God. So it's not just myself. I'm not unique to it.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, you're not. No.
What a disappointment that is.
No, it was a proper maternity home and a cottage, as you say, cottage hospital. And then they built the new hospital in Petersfield, and they built a maternity unit into it, and they actually call it the Grange as a tribute to the house here that we will see quite shortly.
So my ties, you see, that now I'm beginning to understand why I like the quaint old villages and things a lot more, because when I first came into Liss, or West Liss as it's called.
Yes, this bit is still West Liss, yes.
Or when I came into what they now call Liss, I suppose, with the glass railway station.
Oh yes, it's strange, isn't it?
And the Victorian houses, and then a lot of modern houses, which, you know, without being too snobbish, haven't really bought into the style of what Liss could have been like in many ways. I think that's probably down to, you know, the funding and getting houses up over the different periods, I suppose. But yes, I thought, oh, it wasn't what I expected at all.
No.
But the old Liss, the original Liss, outside the Spread Eagle and the church and all that, absolutely gorgeous. And I can see now that when I was born into the world, that sense of wanting to understand.
It was a happy day,
Yes,
wasn't it? Really,
yes.
actually, basically, yes.
So Liz, you're telling me that the place of my birth, my actual appearance into the world is coming up.
It is. It must be a great moment for you, Richard,
It is
actually.
a great moment.
Yes.
I'm expecting this wonderful little remarkable cottage with a thatched roof.
Oh, really?
And, you know, a little lady in a pinafore or a
Right,
midwife.
Right. Yeah, midwife, I could say.
Yes, ready to greet me and say, Richard, after all these years, is that what I'm going to expect to see?
No.
No. Charming that is. So we're standing now opposite the driveway to the Grange.
Yes, there's the sign.
It's much bigger than I imagined,
Yes,
Liz.
it is. I know. Yes.
I'm going to go a little way up to see if we can just capture a bit of the house, because this is quite a wide angle lens, so we won't be able to see too much. And before someone says, "Oi, get off our land."
Yes, it is a children's home now.
Right. For disabled children.
Yes, severely disabled children.
It's just so just up there.
It still looks after little ones, anyway.
But this is yes, this is fascinating. Have you ever been back to the place where you were born, Liz?
No, I haven't actually. No, I've sort of. No.
I always wondered if you go back
Not the actual building.
No.
No.
I wondered if ever when you go back to the actual point of entry into this world, whether you feel anything, whether there's a sense of something, whether there's a thing. I'm just raising the camera up so you can see the building, but we may get someone running out.
Well, do you feel a connection here?
Not a thing. Not a thing. That's a very good question. I feel No, it's a very remote place. I mean, and I guess I popped into the world, and then a few days later I just was whisked away.
Whisked away, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, Liz, let's put it in behind us, and I can say thank you so much.
That's all right. It's a pleasure.
For giving me a trip round Liss, where I was born, the village, and of course the actual building that I emerged into.
You did, yes.
We're going to do another walk in a different part of the area here. We're going to look at that the Smugglers Lane, as you call it.
Yes, indeed, yes.
And talk about the very interesting house that did something during the war akin to Bletchley Park.
Very much so.
So check out that video when it comes out. But in the meantime, thank you, Liss Housden, author and actress. We didn't say that, did we? So I'll put some links also to some of Liz's books.
How kind.
Why not?
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Until the next time, thanks for watching, and bye-bye.